My story of the genocide in Sinjar. Hello, my name is Haitham. I am 31 years old, and I am from the city of Sinjar in the Nineveh Governorate of Iraq. Before 2014, I lived with my family in the Tel Qasab complex. Our life was peaceful and simple, and I was a middle school student, dreaming of a better future. But in 2014, everything changed after the ISIS terrorist organization emerged and seized control of large areas of the Nineveh Governorate. On the night of August 2nd, the organization launched an attack on the city of Sinjar, spreading fear among the residents, especially the Yazidis, who knew they were being targeted because of their religious identity. On the morning of August 3rd, the attack began. We didn't have a car, so I fled with my mother, my sister, and my two brothers on foot towards Mount Sinjar. My mother was elderly and couldn't walk. She would stop every few minutes and beg us to leave her and save ourselves, but we refused and insisted on taking her with us until we reached the mountain after walking about 6 kilometers. The scene was heartbreaking. The children were crying, the women were trembling with fear, and the elderly were paralyzed. A few hours later, we received horrific news that ISIS had killed 70 of my mother's relatives and abducted a large number of women and girls, taking them to Mosul in Syria. Meanwhile, Iraqi forces and Kurdish Peshmerga began fighting ISIS from the Iraqi side, while Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK forces, and a number of young Yazidis came from the Syrian side to join the fight. We, however, were trapped on Mount Sinjar, without water or food. The first night passed, and everyone's water supply began to run out, especially on the southern side of the mountain, while the northern side still had some water sources. On the second day, we tried to climb to the top of the mountain, but our water ran out, and my mother could no longer continue, so we had to descend. I remember running for about 2 kilometers, searching for water, so that my mother and sister wouldn't die of thirst. After a struggle, I finally got a small amount from someone. Before sunset, my cousin and I decided to head north to get more water. After hours of walking, we arrived at 8 p.m., obtained water, and stayed there until dawn. At 5 a.m., we began our journey back to the summit. I was carrying 10 liters of water, and when I reached my family, I distributed it among them. Everyone was on the verge of collapse from thirst, exhaustion, and the scorching sun. At that moment, I felt death approaching. I told my older brother that I knew the way north and that we had to move before everyone died before our eyes. As we were preparing to leave, we heard people calling out that they had brought water, and that moment gave us renewed hope. We all headed north until we reached an area called Kli Bakra, where the water was located, and we spent the night there. The next day, we moved to the shrine of Sharaf al-Din, after being told that ISIS might reach the area. We stayed there for 4 days without food. I didn't eat anything for 5 days, and I only drank contaminated water. Then we heard that a humanitarian corridor had been opened between Iraq and Syria, so we set off on foot for nearly 30 kilometers through the mountains, starting on the morning of August 9th, 2014, until we reached Syrian territory after a grueling journey. A pickup truck took us to the city of Zakho, where we stayed for about 9 months before we moved to the Ezion camp in Duhok Governorate. After 7 years of displacement, we returned to our city of Sinjar. However, 12 years after that tragedy, the city still suffers from a lack of services, job opportunities, and delayed reconstruction. I am still unemployed to this day. I am telling my story not for pity, but so that the suffering of the people of Sinjar is not forgotten, and so that the world knows what the Yazidis endured in terms of killing, displacement, and genocide. If you watch this video, please support me by liking and subscribing to the channel, so that the voice of the people of Sinjar reaches the whole world. Thank you.